Hello YouTube and welcome back to the channel outside the target demographic. In a couple of my shorts I showed that I have finally resurrected from the storage barn my 1997 ST1100 motorcycle. And to go along with that, I purchased a new helmet. Let's get started. You can tell this is brand new and that it still has the stickers and the tags on it. So I've only put it on my head to determine that the medium size is the correct size for me. So let's go through a few things here. It is a ILM model 902 and I got it in yellow. I'm of the opinion that most drivers are ill-suited to be operating 70 mile per hour, 4,000 pound land missiles, especially when they're texting and tweeting and all that stupid bullshit. Yes, I'm old enough to say that. So I would rather draw attention and have one laugh at me and be able to retort, but at least you see me, instead of have that sleek stealth black bike, black helmet, blah, 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 and end up getting ran over by a dumbass driver. So I went with the yellow. I would have liked it to be a little more high-vis, neon-ish, but this is what we have. The reason I went with this one is I think there's over 11,000 views on Amazon. It was $80. It has all the things that I was looking for. So this will be a review for those of you who are looking at the same, at least make and model, if not color. But before we remove this, be sure to remove this film before using the helmet. Super helpful. Also super helpful is in English, wearing a helmet incorrectly will result in injury in an accident. I imagine the accident would have injuries of its own. Follow the user manual for maximum protection. Statement of use. 1. Open the buckle. 2. Open the visor. 3. Pull the helmet strip out at the side. No period there. And then 4. Wear a helmet around your neck. I find that very enjoyable. So I am going to keep this because it does fit my head. This has no adhesive. It's held on through essentially friction or suction. So there's no adhesive to remove off of the visor. One of the selling points for this guy is the fact that it has a chin opening visor. And that chin opening visor is opened at the chin. So you have a black button right here. The color doesn't matter because, oh yeah, your eyes are here, so you're not going to be able to see it anyways. But there's a very large physical detent here that you would very easily, gloved or ungloved, be able to detect and feel with your finger. You have both the apex of the point here, as well as a recession across this surface, as well as a missing portion here. So cold hands, warm hands, gloved hands, gauntlet hands, whatever, you will be able to find that. It only has to go in about a ½ inch, so it will recess, well, let's see, about the length of my fingernail, which is about a ½ inch. So, honestly, it doesn't take too much. Maybe a ¼ inch for that to open. And you have, let's see, what I'm feeling for is indents, so we'll get to that with the visor. But for this one, it does not have any indents besides the binary open and close, which is what you want. By that I mean, if I can open this to this position, I'm now literally blind because my eyes are here and I'm now staring through a chin. That would be a stupid design. This does not have that. So it is all the way closed or all the way open, which is good. You have a audible ka-chunk. It doesn't take too much pressure, honestly, maybe 3 or 4 pounds. So it opens very easily, and it takes, I mean, if I'm using trigger anatomy, trigger analogs, we have a little bit of creep before the sear drops, and we have very little. There's a little bit of resistance. There's like a spring maybe that's preloading to snap it into place. Now, another thing you'll notice is the chin opens past the visor of the helmet. So by that I mean, when I was wearing it and walking around outside working on the motorcycle, so it didn't draw too much attention. I'm also in the middle of the boondocks, so no one's out here anyways. Would recommend, by the way. I can just see like the last ½ inch of this visor in my peripheral vision. So this is not low enough where it acts as a baseball cap visor to block out the sun or something. It gives me full visibility upwards by getting that completely out of the way. Now, the other thing I want to see, we have 1-2 spots. It's not sharp. It's almost like maybe they didn't paint it all the way. Reminder, currently a $70 helmet. It's on sale, I think 20% off right now. So you're going to kind of sort of get what you pay for. What I will do, and my tip for the video, car wax. Go ahead and wipe this down with rubbing alcohol and then go ahead and car wax it. And that's going to prevent bugs from sticking. I would not do the visor. We have used Pledge in the past, and that is a protectorant, as well as the wax buildup will prevent any bugs that smash into your visor from sticking to your visor, and it will make cleaning it off much easier. So basic Pledge, try not to get lemon or some, herbal scented crap, just the standard cleaning product. So we do have that, and we have, that takes like no effort. So right here, these are the locking lugs, and there's one on both sides. So you have a double hook. Can I show it? We have right here a hook, and right there a hook. Not the thickest of metal, but that's fine. And those hooks will engage on this. I mean, it takes no effort. And you have a click. So you have a double audible click, tactile click. You'll know, hearing through the helmet, that the helmet is closed. So far, pretty impressed. We also have vents. Okay. So very simply, up is open and down is closed. And you have this entire contact area. We're talking 3 inches for you to use your glove. You can open it here. You can open it here. You can open it there. So very large contact area, about 3 inches by 1.5 inches. For those of you who don't know what I'm doing, each joint is approximately 1 inch. So that's, you got a 2 by 4, technically, 2-ish by 4. So all that to say, very large. With motorcycles, at least mine, sport touring bike, I have 4 motorcycles currently. So each one will be different. But regardless of the gloves you wear, summer gloves, winter gloves, heated gloves, gauntlets, leather, what have you, these are quite large and easy enough to get to. And I kind of like, too, that these are independent. So I feel like we're going to scoot you right there. The replacement helmet is a Nolan. And this one, by comparison, has 2 latches that, even with 2 available hands, you can see is not ideal. You get the added benefit of having the helmet be less likely to punch open in case of an accident. It's also a pain in the ass while trying to operate a motorcycle with one hand and pop your chin open. But you do have 2 red ones. They're on either side. You kind of have a bulbous thing that you have to feel for. It's unintuitive. The new one, it's right here. Feel for the center, push, and open. I feel like that's kind of industry standard. This is a 20-year-old helmet. I believe it's quite literally. It does not say. I feel like it's a 1999, 2000, something like that. So well past its age. It's the one I found first. It's the one I've been using. Here on top, we have the vents. And it is a much larger contact area. And I feel like you have 1, 2, 3 vents in here. So you're going to get a little bit more airflow. But with this one, you can actually open one or open the other, or, you have a little bit more flexibility there, says I. I will say when this is open, I do get a bit of buffeting, almost like if you opened one of your windows in your car halfway down at highway speeds. That's buffeting, by the way. Another thing I like is the mechanism to hold my visor on this one is, well, worn out after 2 decades of service. But you can see the visor only opens halfway through your eye line, and this does get in the way. So much so that I just count this as a fully enclosed helmet or a open chin helmet. I rarely use this. The mechanism is weak enough. Look at all that travel. The wind is absolutely going to smack that around. I know that because the wind absolutely smacks that around. So this is a better mechanism so far. Another thing I like is this one, the mechanism for the visor and for the chin is exposed. By that I mean, like, this plastic can pull away, and does, because I know. So this is very much outside of the airstream, and any air that hits this is going to be running along the surface and going to be picking up and buffeting and snapping that. I feel like my other Nolan helmet, did I lose one of these? No, I think it bent out. And you can see right here, there's a little white plunger. And that little white plunger is supposed to be recessed. Of course, I can't do it with my finger. But it's supposed to be a plunger, and there's a couple of saw teeth grooves in the visor. That plunger is supposed to hold it here, hold it there, hold it there. They have walked themselves out, at least on this one side, due to the air smacking the plastic, kind of broke it down. Whereas this one, the mechanism is internal, and the visor, I'm running my finger along it. There is no break in the visor, so the plastic runs the complete way around. Should make for a quieter helmet, should make for less buffeting, should make for less failure-prone mechanisms, pieces flying, stuff like that. The one thing I don't like so far is right here is the only place that has the lip for you to open the visor, as opposed to this one, which has the unintuitive chin opening mechanism on either side, but does have the intuitive reach for your nose and you can open your visor. So that's going to be a bit of a training thing for me. I'm sure I'll get over it. I'm also sure I'm probably going to paint it. So this is slightly visible through the visor as you're wearing it, which is good. I don't think it's going to pick up any glare. I don't think it's going to distract you, the driver, but it is going to let you know where it is. I'm probably going to go ahead. Oh my gosh, that is okay. So here we go. Okay, so that is so, in the best way possible, firm that I literally have to start getting my second finger engaged to get that to open. Versus this one, I mean, there's nothing to that. Again, different mechanism, 20 years of service, tens of thousands of miles, wear and tear, rain, Alaska. No, I did not have that in Alaska. But all sorts of mileage on that one. This is newer and it should be better. It's fresh out of the box, but that is so much more resistance, which again is what you're going to want. We do kind of have the same metric that I was using on that one, in that the visor opens, I mean, this would be halfway, so call it 2/3 of the way through your peripheral vision. You're going to have a bit of an issue. But out the front, I mean, my eyes would be here. I don't even know that this would occlude or give me a halo effect while wearing it. I feel like that gets much more out of the way. To prove that, let's see, that's going to be about 3/4 of an inch above this rim if this rim were to extend out. This isn't for you so much as it is for me. Yeah, so this one, the helmet is here, and the visor is actually about a 1/2 inch below. And that is as far as it will travel, even with that busted mechanism. So this one was very much in the way by design. There's really no way to get around that. versus this one is going to give me substantially more opening. Holy crap. All right, so, I mean, let's do this then. Jadapi. So, based on the two, this one is going to have less plastic in the way. I feel like this gets a smaller, a more restricted opening versus the new one. More squared off on this one. To be fair, I don't know how much in or out of your peripheral vision the absolute corner is going to be, but this one is substantially larger and more squared off, which is going to be both beneficial to the rider. We do have chin vents. This one, same way. Up is going to be open and down is going to be closed. Compared to this one, you've got a big latch here. I would say the air intake is going to be about the same. A little more rounded, bubbly versus squared off with some vectoring. I don't know. But this one seems more dirt bike-ish in that it has a boat heel kind of thing. Well, I'm going to throw a lot of analogies at this, but this one is more roundy, and I feel like you can turn your head a little bit easier in the wind, whereas this one's going to be a little bit less restricted because you're not going to have to fight to keep your helmet pointing forward. It's essentially going to be cutting into the wind and be directing itself forward as you're riding. On the back, we do have ILM-902, which is the is the model. ILM is the Industrial Light and Magic is the manufacturer. It is DOT certified. It is medium size. I went with a medium because my old one was a medium. We have a weight here. I'm curious what the weight would be on this. That's the grandfather clock. Everyone should have one. And soon will be the cuckoo clock. So get ready for that. So it is DOT certified. The other thing this guy has is the all-important built-in sunglasses. So I'm going to have to peel this off as well. But you got this latch right here. That's That's the cleanup song. When the kids are here, which they are not, which is why I'm able to make this video, cleanup song plays, and it's not Daddy's in a bad mood, Daddy's making me clean. It's, oh no, the magic phone is saying it's cleanup time. It removes you from all liability on that. Would recommend. So, unintuitively, when you pull this down, it's going to raise your visor. I suppose the there's that cuckoo clock I promised. I feel the mechanism is just simple. They could have put a second linkage in there, which would have added more resistance, probably needed a little bit more throw. I mean, clearly, if it's in this position and I don't have it, I'm just going to shake this around until it's in the position where I do have it. So that's fine. Cannot compare to this one because it doesn't have it. So that's built in. Another thing, well, before I say that, let me double check. So that all but covers your view. You'll be able to see your instrument panel, your display a little bit better, and the rest of the world will be shaded out, which is nice. I could, depending on how dark this is, add a line of electrical tape. Why would I do such a thing? Okay, time's up. If I add a bit of electrical tape there, let me see. So I drive south. I guess it really wouldn't make a difference, but for those of you who have made it this far in the video for whatever reason, if you put a piece of electrical tape there, it's going to lower your horizon line, in that if you drive towards the east in the morning and return home west in the evening, you're probably going to be staring at some level of setting sun. If you have a layer of electrical tape, and the nice thing is with electrical tape, you could peel it off at any time or readjust it or add more layers or you can essentially make it where instead of you having to lower your head to not get blinded by the setting sun, you can block it out of the horizon and still have a little bit of residual, sunglasses to block off the rest of that sunlight. So keep that in mind. Simple add and more simple removal. To put this, well, let's see. So it will let me put it away through thumb action, and the lever is connected. So it is a reciprocating lever. It doesn't like it. There is a more locking motion by using the latch. Who'd have guessed? But it can be done. You can reach in, if you spur of the moment, just reach up, reaction kind of thing, as if you're wearing regular glasses. So that's pretty nifty. I feel like that's small, but it's also going to cut down on buffeting. How often you're going to use this, it's going to be easy enough for, especially gloved, you're going to have a little bit more padding engaging that. So it doesn't take, I'd say that's maybe 6 pounds. That's maybe 5, so it's a little more difficult to engage than to disengage. But it doesn't take much, and it's very easy to get to. The other thing I like about this is while the... Oh my gosh, that takes so much effort to move. That is awesome. While this is a relatively smaller lever to try and engage, there is nothing else here that sticks out except that lever. So if you are learning it, or your hands are cold or something like that, you can just feel around until you get to that nub, and then you'll be able to engage or disengage the glasses. So I feel like that's pretty well thought out. We did do this. We did do that. There is a model, and to be fair, I thought this was it. But built into these two grills is a red LED light. And there would be a USB-C charging port here. I believe it's an additional $20. Honestly, for $20 more, I feel like it's gimmicky. But what it would do is it would stay on all the time, or it would strobe. Or what was the other one? I feel like that's it. So a couple issues with that. One, I don't know if a strobing red light is legal in the United States. I'm pretty sure any flashing light is pseudo police and or emergency vehicle, so I don't know what the legality for that would be. And then inversely, if you just had the on all the time, which to be fair would be useful at night, right? You'd push the button, or I think it was a little lever here, whatever it was, and you'd have constantly glowing lights. With the rear of a motorcycle, okay, here we go. So a car is going to be kind of rectangular shaped, right? And you'll have your brake lights and your turn signal and your reverse lights all on the side. So you have kind of a x-axis display for your lights. And based on those lights, you can determine how wide that vehicle is, how far away that vehicle is, how quickly it's slowing down, stuff like that. Haha. With a motorcycle, you're tall, and you really don't have the width to set up two separate sets of lights to determine how wide your vehicle is and blah, blah, blah. As it turns out, your vehicle isn't wide, which is going to throw people off. They'll see a red light. They won't know if it's two red lights and this one is broken. They won't know if it's a turn signal that isn't flashing, or it's going to distract people. If people are thinking, what is that? They aren't thinking, I need to brake for that, right? So, all that to say, if you had a constantly on red light, yes, that would give you a taller silhouette, and that your brake light would be here and you'd have a red light up top. So you do kind of return back to a triangle, a right, left, and middle brake light system. But this isn't a brake light. So this would be on all the time. And if anything, I would constitute that as a distraction, not as a benefit. Plus, you have to maintain a battery. Hope that battery doesn't explode. Lithium ions are very prone to exploding, more so than other batteries, especially when they're hot. So if you're riding in anything other than rain or snow, your helmet is going to be absorbing heat in one form or another. Some of it will be wicked away through, the air riding over it. But you are going to be absorbing heat. That heat absorption is going to be going into the battery. I just feel like it's going to be more of a hindrance than a benefit, and it saved me $20, and maybe I'm coping, but I feel like I came up with some pretty good reasons on the fly, right? I could always add lights to that if I really wanted to. I don't know that I do. From what I can tell, it looks like that's the rear vents, so those are always going to be open, and you can control the amount of flow going through them with the vents. I do like the aerodynamics. There is a bit of a gap in between the shell and the visor, which of course there would have to be. They already accounted for that with a pretty firm, no, that's... it's very firm. I wouldn't say it's rubber. I would say it's a plastic, and that's going to help with weather sealing, ergo keeping the rain out. Probably a little bit with the wind buffeting as well. I am curious what's going on here. So there's a standard Phillips screw. If I remove that, I imagine parts of that mechanism would start coming out. And I could probably... This looks like it's a quick release system, and I don't really have the head space, haha, because it's a helmet, to be able to get at that. But I imagine... Oh, beautiful. All right. So I pull that out. This is... I thought those were tabs holding it in place. Those are actually tabs creating a spring. So I can pull that down. And with the visor open... Haha. So your visor has to be in the open position. You have a locking lug here and here, and of course mirrored on the other side. Those locking lugs will slide into here and there, and you can replace a visor that has a scratch, a visor that picked up a errant rock, a visor that isn't tinted, and you can get tinted ones. You could get a spare one and have it tinted. Do the rainbow colors for the tint, and blue or black or red or whatever you want to do. But that is an option that they have already built in. Pretty shiny. That mechanism is very much made out of plastic. The other one was as well. But there are really no moving parts on this, including the metal spring that one had, the old Nolan one there. So now that I got that off, watch me crack it the first time trying to reapply. So we also have one... Oh, well, there you go. All right. So you have a large spot hole right there, then a tooth, a lug, then nothing, then a lug, then a space. And that's going to engage on this. Oh, yeah, that's another thing too. Pop this off and it's a heck of a lot cleaner to clean the inside after you've been breathing on it, fogging it up, plastic and foam, degassing, all that stuff. So simple enough to clean. This lug is going to engage with that bracket, and that's going to give you your indexes for keeping the visor at its different positions. You're going to rock the top side first, and then you're going to slide the bottom tooth in place. So I'm going to pull this back to take the tension off it. I'm going to put my top tooth, this tooth, in first. I'm going to rock it back and forth a bit. This side's going to be a little bit more difficult to get back in place because it is the second side, not because it is the left side. And I need to fight the memory of this plastic. It wants to return to that position, so I need to kind of tension this visor as I put it into place. As it turns out, you don't have to pull on that. It just popped into place. It may be easier to pull down on it, but it literally, audibly, tactilely snapped into place. And now I'm confirming everything. Man, so far, for $80 on sale, I'm really liking that. So we covered darn near everything on the outside of the helmet. Let's go inside. So opening this up, we have a shield here skirt, as it were, and that's going to help direct the air past your chin, preventing buffeting air coming up past your face. It's going to deflect it into your neck, and that's also going to prevent the helmet from trying to rise on you, because you don't have air going up your face, pushing your helmet up. You have it going past the helmet, kind of like having underbody panels on a car. We do have the lugs, as I said. The lugs are metal. I do not feel any wobble at all with those. You do have a retro-reflective cloth piece of, cloth there. I'm not sure why. I feel like if this was on your body and you had an accident and you're sliding on your side, the rest of your body is going to block that, because like you have a neck and like shoulders and stuff, but they put it there. I am going to be putting a strip of retro-reflective white tape along the base here, and that will help get attention of the people behind me. Maybe a little bit there as well. Anyways, we have, as yet, not removed. If your helmet size is not right, if it's damaged in transport, blah, blah, blah. So a couple of things on the instruction manual, how to use. Oh, yeah. So let's get started with that. Very weird. You know what? Let's return to a more, well, I won't even say more industry standard, because I've been out of the game so long, I don't know. But this is Nolan's design for a helmet strap system. We have a red latch. You lift it up, helmet opens. You have a mechanism. Basically, it's a up-armored industrial-grade Ziploc. So you're going to push this into place, and each time it's going to ratchet, and then it's a one-way system. So this cannot open until you lift up that latch and open it. It's very much a one-hand system. I like it. I like it so much I could probably... Anyways, this one is kind of the same. I had to take all the slack out of this. So this is a medium size. They give you an additional... I mean, that's 5 inches that I feel like doesn't need to be used. I'd even like this to be a little narrower. But you have a gross adjustment here where you can take up a great deal. There's no way this would come down to past your Adam's apple. They gave you far too much, which I guess is better than the inverse. But you will do a gross adjustment here, and now you only have just about an inch of tooth grooves, and that will snap into place. Now, they were gracious enough to give you these 2 skirts, and these are going to sit in between your skin and the mechanism made of metal and the cloth band. So you're going to be less likely to have any chafing or anything like that while riding, because these are going to be protecting your skin from those harsh, probably vibrating surfaces. To release it, you have this red cloth, which I feel like is very prone to failure, depending on how well they stitched it. But instead of you trying to get your thumb up under here, it makes it much easier for that to release. So, all in all, it's actually a pretty nice system, especially for how budget this helmet is. So we did that. What I'm curious about... Hey. So I'm going to go ahead and take the internals, the foam and all, out of this guy, and I will cut back. So with a little bit more light and a little bit of time off camera, I popped out most of the filler. So we have our left and right side ear pieces. These are going to be up against your ear. I do like the sizable cutouts here, and there's also missing material here. That'll become relevant here shortly. Looks to be some kind of plastic leather material, and that's going to give you 3 points of contact, 3 points of contact to push into the helmet. I like that. I like that it's not the surface area of these 3 points of contact, these will go into this plastic piece, and the plastic piece has some pretty decent stitching and almost a fake leather material along the bottom, and a fairly breathable surface there. You can kind of see it's almost like a bicycle seat, like a upgraded one, so you have a little bit of airflow there, and that's going to help prevent any kind of sweating or ear fatigue from having something vibrating against your head, which is nice. You have a little bit of cushion there, probably more like noise deadening than anything. Hopefully your ears don't extend that far from your head, but hey, who am I to judge? And we have that on both sides. If I can get these out of the way and bring this back in. So I can remove the middle portion up until this point, and I don't know, it appears to be hung in around the forehead area. I imagine it'll come out. Oh, okay, there we go. So that's closer. I really don't feel like breaking it. I imagine that would come out the rest of the way. But you have pretty decent flappage. You have more of that material that you have here with all the vents in it all around this, and then you have an additional foam section with some holes cut into it. So that's going to allow the air to flow through quite a few different levels there. So you're cooling the fabric and you're cooling the air around your head, which is actually pretty nice. You got this nice big foam piece here. There's not much foam in it, but it's more than I would have suspected. Looking at the backside, it's not too impressive. But I mean, even this, there's some veins molded into the plastic, which I feel is a little more than they didn't have to do that, but they did. So I do like that. We do have 4 rather large holes there. That styrofoam is probably an inch and a quarter thick. Here we have size M, 57 to 58 centimeters, for those of you who would want to know such a thing. Doesn't mean anything to me. My nation landed on the moon. So 2022, so it's a fairly new, actually 1 year. Hey, how about that? Only been sitting for a year. The straps are mounted to metal, and that metal, I mean, the chin will move before that metal appears to be giving at all. So good quality there. Couple of screws there. This is essentially a bolt threaded into a nut, so that's not going anywhere. That's very good. We do have a little bit of foam material here. This is kind of, I guess I would call it fake leather that you would see on a steering wheel. And as I said before, that's on the bottom here. That's fantastic because that leather isn't going to soak up, let's say, rain when you put this next to your front tire and go inside to a restaurant or something. It's not going to soak up mud and dirt and all that stuff as much as, say, this foam material will, this neoprene kind of material. So, I mean, even just holding this, I have plastic, 3 points of plastic connections there, so it's not going to pivot as much with just 1 or 2. It's got 3 of them, so you got 3 points that are going to prevent that. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 different types of foam material, some ventilation built into this, removable, so if you got this dirty or something like that, you can remove all these things to just toss them into the wash, and you're able to clean out the sweat and anything like that. You're constantly rebreathing air inside this helmet, so you're probably going to start growing some microbes and crap like that. So the ability for these to fairly easily disconnect from and be thrown into the wash is super handy. Some of you may have already noticed there are indents. There are indents. 2 seconds. there are indents here built into the unit that are plastic and quite large. Now, what those indents would be for is a Bluetooth speaker set. So I believe you can order it with this. I did not. I'm going to go through Amazon or eBay or something and try and find my own. But they're quite large, and they actually have a channel, a groove cut in right there. So you can route the wiring back here, back here, and you can put all your excess wires and cables out of the way so they don't snag on stuff, tuck them away nicely, and then mount your control unit on whichever side, you know, left or right-handed kind of thing. So they already considered that. They do sell that as a upgrade or an additional thing. You can mount your own. Since I'm here, that is... so that's going to be 1.5 inch diameter. That's actually quite sizable. So you should be able to fit whatever size speaker set you want to in that. Even if it's larger than that, you have an 1.5 inch thick foam. I feel like that's not helping. I know that's not helping. Is that helping? I feel like that's helping. So you have an 1.5 inch worth of foam here, in addition to a recession in the plastic there. So you should be able to fit really whatever you want to in there, and you can hide it. So you pop these out, you put those in place, use some glue or double-sided tape. Oh, look at that. So they actually have a groove right here. They actually have a groove right here, and they went so far as to put a tooth right there and right there. So not only can you route your microphone through here, but it has 2 pegs that are going to hold that microphone in place. Guys, this was $80. I mean, assuming it holds up to a crash. The engineering that went into this is actually very respectable. It's one of those, like, as far as noise canceling has gone, you're doing 70 miles an hour on a motorcycle. I don't know how well those conversations are going to go, but I guess it's better to have it and not need it kind of thing. The protection in here seems pretty decent. It is DOT rated, for what that's worth. I don't really know what that means. It's, passes the safety standards, but what are the safety standards? So to put this back together, you have 1, 2. As far as hotspots are concerned, I can just barely feel where the red connections are in this, and they actually went ahead and added this additional foam cushion on there. So, I feel like they did a very good job as far as the engineering that went behind this. I think this is going to be quieter just by external design, let alone the internal design. Part of me, since I'm going through my car noise deadening series, look for that on my channel, I have some deadening material that I was planning on putting on the inside of this helmet. I don't know that there's any place I could get to. Even here, when closed, is going to be out of the wind, because all the wind's going to be going off the exterior shell, not the interior. So I honestly don't know that there's any reason to add any material to this. But let me go off camera. I'm going to put these pieces back in. Wanted to show you guys. So the first one went in. I want to show you how to do this second one. Before I do, I was musing to myself, and as I mused, I considered you could put a speaker there, as we discussed. If you don't buy a $100, $80, whatever quality Bluetooth set where you need to have a speaker there, that probably means you have money, and you could put money there. So you could hide 20, 40, 50, 80, 100, 197, whatever you want to do. Dollars in that little cubby hole, and you'll have it with you, right? It's easy enough to get to. No one would think to look there. I speak from a story that I read on the internet and totally did not happen to me. I totally did not go to a restaurant and totally did not pay for food with a credit card and have the receptionist say, "There you go, have a good rest of your day." And then I totally didn't get on my bike and drive about an hour before we all stopped for gas to find out I didn't have my credit card and had to bum someone else's credit card. So if I had a little bit of cash squirreled away on my bike or helmet, even a spare key, right? You could fit a spare key in there. So just because it's a speaker hole doesn't mean you can't use it for other things. This is already dirty. Ooh. So I am going to wipe this down with rubbing alcohol and let me move this light. Let's see if is that better? Ooh, I do like that. So I'm going to wipe this down with rubbing alcohol. I have the house to myself tonight, which is why I'm making these YouTube videos. And I'm going to do car wax on it. I'm going to make this nice and clean. It's going to look cleaner. It's going to be cleaner longer. Car wax will keep the shine. It will make it less likely to get dirty. Anytime it gets dirty, it'll be easier to scrub off. Blah, 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 blah. All sorts of benefits there. So this is my review of the ILM-902 yellow chin opening motorcycle helmet. I will go ahead and do some rides with it. I don't foresee any issues, but I can report back for the hundreds of people that are clamoring for that kind of content. But if I taught you something today, or if you have any insight or experience with this helmet, go ahead and let me know in the comments section below. I do enjoy hearing from you guys. And oh, that was, haha, there is one last thing. I did notice on some helmets, on some helmets, does this one do it? If I open it, open the visor, that is, and I open, remember how I said this was a pain with one hand? And I open the chin. I hate you. And this is the last time I'll be using you. So the trick is to do that and this. And I open the chin, you'll notice the visor closed itself again. So when I close the chin, I now have my visor closed, so I have to reopen it. I don't like that. This helmet, when I, oh my God, that's so much better. When I open that, and then I open the chin without crying about it because it's just the one finger, you'll see that it doesn't close. Now this is a double-edged sword. If this is sitting like this and I open it, I now have this acting as a parachute pulling my head up at speed, right? So that could be a double-edged, a pro and a con, but it does not close itself. So if I had this open while riding, I pull up to a toll booth or something, talk to them, you know, do the thing. When I close this back down, I have it set to the position I had it set to before. So I do like that. I feel like that's going to be better than not. Looking head on, I guess, I mean, there's the least littlest amount of area for that to become an air scoop. So I'll have to report back on that. I don't foresee it being a big issue, but I do like that it does stay open regardless of the position of this guy. So I was winding down and then I wound back up, so let's wind down again. This is outside the target demographic. I appreciate you guys stopping by. Any questions, comments, concerns you have, leave them in the comments section below. And until next video, safe riding, guys. Oh yeah, and it appears to be just shy of 4 pounds, or 1,760 grams in weight.